Hello and welcome everyone to the In Focus series of Drishti IAS. My name is Pragya and today we are going to see what is hate speech. We are also going to see what is fake news and misinformation and the legal provisions that help in curbing them. The title of our today's discussion is Fake News and Misinformation Legal Provisions. In this discussion, we will study about what is fake news. We will also see misinformation. And we are also going to analyze the legal provisions which help in curbing them. And we are also going to see some of the measures taken by the Indian government to curb the spread of fake news online. And in the end, we are going to see a practice question for your prelims examination and a practice question for your mains examination. This topic is important from your GS2 perspective. Now let us proceed to understand the background of our today's discussion. The news is, and it has been taken from the Indian Express newspaper, fake news and misinformation, sections of the law that police can invoke. We will be discussing fake news and misinformation in our further slides, and we will also understand what do we mean by spreading of fake news and misinformation. So, you might be aware and it almost comes in the newspapers daily that persons are being arrested for spreading the fake news. Recently also a journalist has been arrested in Karnataka for spreading the fake news. So whatever is sensational, whatever is in sensation spreads like by a fire, and it is also sold well. People use this propagandas to gain traction in the masses. So you might be aware that there are various YouTube channels also which are spreading the fake news, and that is why we say that you should watch the YouTube channels, very specific YouTube channels, so as to so that you are well informed and you do not fall prey to the fake news. So with this background, now let us understand what is fake news. So if I talk about fake news in very simple and layman terms, it means a news that is untrue and unverified. That means there is no source of where this news has been spreading. But as we live in a digital age, both information and misinformation can be spread, and this spreading of unverified and untrue news is known as spreading of fake news. Fake news comprises of stories, news and hoaxes created to misinform deliberately or deceive readers. So the mens rea or the mental intention here is deliberate intention. Deliberate intention. So the mens rea or the mental intention behind the spread of fake news is very deliberate. It is done deliberately to cause harm. It is done deliberately to incite fear or to cause enmity between two different groups. So that is why stories are spread to, first of all, to influence the people views, then to create confusion amongst them, and for third and the foremost, to propagate a political agenda. And we often see that most of the political parties are themselves involved in propagating these agendas. For example, you must have heard a news recently that the government is now going to monitor your WhatsApp chats. This is what is known as a fake news, because no, this is not true. The government is not planning a surveillance on its citizens. It is not going to monitor your WhatsApp chat. The fake news menace was another menace we were dealing during the COVID-19 pandemic, and most of the convictions under the various legal provisions happened in 2020 when we were facing the COVID-19 pandemic, because fake news during that time used to spread like fire from one WhatsApp to another WhatsApp, from one WhatsApp forward to another WhatsApp forward. So now let us discuss what is misinformation. So if we talk about misinformation in very simple terms, misinformation means, and it is a technical term for fake news, and it is done without a deliberate intent to cause harm. So this is the difference between fake news and misinformation. fake news is done very deliberately, but misinformation is done without a deliberate intention. Let me explain this to you by an example. We often forward a WhatsApp messages without verifying them. We do not see whether the information which we are spreading is true or untrue. And this happens in the case of our closed ones as well. Especially if we talk about your parents, they also forward you some random WhatsApp messages. And that is why there was also a joke going on that you should not study from WhatsApp University. So what is all this? This is the spread of misinformation. And the difference between fake news and misinformation is done without causing a harm, but fake news is done with a specific intention of causing harm or inciting fear. Now let us proceed to understand what are the legal provisions in the Indian legal framework to curb the spread of fake news or misinterpretation or misinformation. So firstly, we will be discussing the legal provisions under the Indian Penal Code. Your first provision is section 153 clause A, also known as the law against hate speeches. Law against hate speeches. So if I explain you what is hate speech in very simple terms. So you might have heard in news that people come on national television, some of the people and prominent people, they start speaking something which is against a religious community. So what is this? Or it is against a caste, or it is against a person. So what is this? This is all is categorized as hate speech. You are spreading hate by your speeches, and this is specifically forbidden under section 153 clause A of our Indian Penal Code. It bars promoting enmity between different groups, and it also prohibits doing acts prejudicial to maintenance of communal harmony. So communal harmony is essential to maintain, and this provision bars any spread of hate speech. It was enacted in the year 1898 by way of an amendment to the Indian Penal Code. So this was not there in the original Indian Penal Code, and it was added in the year 1898. But the most problematic part of this provision is that it requires the previous sanction of the state to prosecute the persons who are accused of giving a hate speech. And if you do not receive this sanction, you cannot be prosecuted. Furthermore, the conviction rates under this provision is very low, and in 2021, the Supreme Court in its judgment has specifically asked the state to prove the intention for proving or for convicting a person as guilty under this section. So this makes the section a bit ineffective, but this is a very important section used to curb the spread of hate speeches. Then there is section 295 clause A of Indian Penal Code. It bars deliberate and malicious acts intended to outrage religious feelings. So basically it prohibits blasphemy against all of the religions in India. You cannot commit an offense which is against the secular fabric of India. So it also penalizes actions that insult or offend religious belief with deliberate and malicious intention. So the mens rea or the mental intention here also is very deliberate. And the famous prosecution of Nupur Sharma. Then there is the very famous section of Indian Penal Code, and that is section 499, which provides the definition of defamation. So if I explain what is defamation in very simple terms to you, so you go in media houses and you start spreading false information about me, that Pragya ma'am is teaching all incorrect things, she is criticizing the government, she is making seditious statements. So what is this? This is defaming me or damaging my goodwill in the public, and I can prosecute you for defamation. Section 499 defines defamation as making a false statement to harm a person's reputation, because it is very important to have a person's reputation protected. It is protected under Article 21 of our Indian Constitution, and a person's reputation is protected even after his death. So Section 499 is very important as it provides what is defamation, and Section 500 of our Indian Penal Code lays down the punishment for defamation. The famous Rahul Gandhi case happened under Section 500 of the Indian Penal Code, in which he was prosecuted for defamation and he was sentenced for 2 years imprisonment, and which led to his disqualification from the parliament, which is still in controversy. So this section also has 10 exceptions in it, and it talks about the exceptions talk about that if the statement is true and it is made as a positive criticism, then you will not be liable for defamation. Then there is Section 505, which is very important to curb hate speeches and fake news in India. It states about making statements conducing to public mischief, and it criminalizes spreading statements or rumors or reports with the intent to incite fear, alarm, or provoke a breach of peace. So Section 505 of our Indian Penal Code is often invoked when there is a breach of peace within a region. For example, or the statement is spread to incite fear. For example, if you see the violence case in New Haryana, so Section 505 was invoked in that case as well. Then there is Section 505 Clause 1, which punishes making, publishing or circulating statements, rumors or reports with intent to incite a class or community to commit an offense against any other class or community. So basically it criminalizes spreading of statement, reports or rumors so as to incite hate or violence in two different communities. So these were the legal provisions in our Indian Penal Code which are used to curb the spread of hate speeches and fake news in India. Then there is provisions in the Information Technology Act of 2000 as well, and that is Section 69A, which often remains in news. So what does it state? It states that it imposes an obligation on the intermediaries. So whenever we have our internet, we access information on the internet, we use certain intermediaries such as search engines such as Google, Yahoo, etc. And after the enactment of new IT rules, even WhatsApp and Telegram are categorized as intermediaries, and it imposes an obligation on them to remove any objectionable content pursuant to takedown notices by the law enforcement agencies. For example, the government figures out that this is a fake news, and then it finds the source of that fake news, and it asks the intermediary to immediately take down that fake news from its platform. So this can happen under Section 69 Clause A of the IT Act of 2000. We have recently also enacted the Digital Data Protection Bill. Digital Data Protection Act of 2023. And this Digital Data Protection Act of 2023 has even more stringent provision to stop the misinformation and the fake news that is being spread online. Now let us analyze the measures taken by the Indian government to spread or curb the spread of fake news or misinformation. So the first measure is setting up of a fact-check unit under the PIB. So this is a dedicated unit which is being set by the government under the Press Information Bureau to debunk all of the fake news that is being spread online. The people can also, through an app, they have a dedicated app, approach them and verify the news, and they can say that whether that is a fake news or it is a real news. Then notifying the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Rules 2021. So the government has recently notified the new IT rules for the intermediaries, and this has led to a tussle between WhatsApp and government, because this provides the government to even break the end-to-end encryption used by WhatsApp, which the WhatsApp is saying it will not allow. Then there is Indian Broadcast Foundation, or the IVF. This body was created in 1999 to look into complaints against content aired by 24/7 news channels. So we have this 24/7 news channels as well, which air the news almost throughout the day, and this body helps in checking the news air by those news channels, because we find today that the media ethics is almost gone. They are doing anything to create a sensation, and most of the fake news is coming from the media as well. But in India, we say that there is no single legislation or no single laws which helps in curbing the fake news or the misinformation, because the media houses claim protection under Article 19 of our Indian Constitution, which gives them freedom of speech and expression. So they claim the protection under Article 19, but we need a strong legislation to curb the spread of fake news and misinformation. With this, we come to a conclusion of our today's discussion. We have seen and understood the meaning of fake news. We have also seen what is misinformation, and we have also analyzed the legal provisions which are helpful in curbing them. We have also seen the measures taken by Indian government to curb the spread of fake news and misinformation. So what can be the solution? The solution can be educating the end user about what to believe and what not to believe. Then there is stopping of fake news or removal of fake news from all of the social media platforms, and especially from the search engines. Then there is debunking or rebuttal of this fake news. So we need to establish more agencies which help in debunking or rebutting the spread of this fake news. Now let us analyze a practice question for your prelims examination. The question is, which state has decided to create a fact checking unit to curb fake news on social media? Your options are, option number A is Karnataka, option number B is Kerala, option number C is West Bengal, and option number D is Tamil Nadu. Kindly drop your answer in the comment box below. Now let us analyze a practice question for your mains examination. So fake news affects free speech and informed choices of citizens of the country, leading to the hijacking of democracy. Comment. Kindly attempt this question for your mains answer writing practice. I hope this session was insightful for you. If you found the discussion today helpful, kindly like the video and subscribe to our channel for more such updates. If you have any feedback regarding the discussion today, you can also drop in the comment box below. Thank you.